Bread has always been sold to us as safe, simple, essential. But the loaf isn't safe, it is harming you. In the past 2 years, the FDA has recalled over 140 baked goods, many for hidden chemicals and allergies. So how did something so basic turn dangerous, and who's guilty? Millions of Americans, especially retirees and working families, rely on Walmart as their lifeline. A place where $5 still means something, and where you trust the basics. But what if that bargain loaf is quietly working against you? Inside Walmart's bread lurk additives like calcium propionate, a preservative tied in studies to gut problems, headaches, even mood changes. Then there's datum, a dough conditioner that keeps bread spongy soft, but has been linked to intestinal damage and systemic inflammation. And if that weren't enough, in 2023, whistleblowers exposed bread pallets left in 90-degree heat for hours at a distribution center before being shrink-wrapped and shipped out. Perfect conditions for invisible mold spores and mycotoxins, toxins that are linked to neurological damage. Reddit threads are filled with horror stories, chemical taste, cramps after eating, even pets refusing to touch it. The cruelest part is that Walmart has the money to do better but cuts corners anyway, assuming that low-income Americans won't question it. So would you still call Walmart bread a bargain if the price is your health? And if Walmart's bargain bread hides chemicals, imagine what happens when the cheapest store sells your bread. That $1.25 loaf at Dollar Tree feels like a tiny victory for tight budgets. But behind the neon promise of affordability lies something way darker. According to a 2023 Grocery Dive report, nearly 60% of Dollar Tree's food supply, including bread, is actually salvage food, meaning loaves turned away by other retailers who are being close to expiring, baking in hot trucks, or off-spec. In plain English, your loaf may be on its third or fourth chance. Even more unnerving, some Dollar Tree breads include azodicarbonamide, the infamous yoga mat chemical that was banned in Europe, Australia, and Singapore, but still sneaks into US loaves. A 2022 campaign for healthier solutions report revealed that 60% of products sold at Dollar Tree tested positive for chemicals of concern. And while they tested packaging, it highlights just how lax safety standards are at these stores. Customers have blown up TikTok under Dollar Tree bread warning, showing loaves molding a day after purchase. One grandmother posted, "I already fed it to my grandson. He was up all night sick." And if budget bread is risky, wait until you see how a so-called signature loaf turns into a chemical trap. Safeway wants you to think of its bread as polished and wholesome. Signature Select, wrapped in earthy tones that whisper farmers market vibes. But behind that packaging is some troubling truths. Many Safeway wheat and rye breads use Class 4 caramel coloring. That pretty brown shade comes with a byproduct called 4-MEI, linked to increased cancer risk in lab studies. In California, high 4-MEI products require warning labels, but Safeway shelves stay silent. Then there are emulsifiers like mono and diglycerides, often derived from partially hydrogenated oils, the same trans fats that the FDA banned years ago. But thanks to loopholes, they still sneak in. Worse, Safeway's own facilities have been caught rehydrating expired dough and baking it off as fresh. A lawsuit quietly settled in 2022 after whistleblowers came forward. And a 2024 inspection in Arizona found bread crates stored next to leaking bleach bottles. Yeah, your farmhouse wheat may have sat under cleaning chemicals. So would you still call it Signature Select if the signature was bleach and expired dough? And if Safeway's farmhouse wheat is already suspect, Family Dollar takes things to a terrifying new level. In struggling towns and forgotten neighborhoods, Family Dollar is often the only option. Bread there isn't a treat, it's survival. But survival shouldn't mean eating poison. In 2022, the FDA raided a Family Dollar warehouse in Arkansas and found over 1,200 rodents plus droppings and urine stored beside bread and packaged foods. The recall stretched across 6 states, and in 2024, the company pleaded guilty, paying a record of $41.7 million fine, the largest criminal penalty in a U.S. food safety case. Even after staff were warned as early as 2020, shipments of contaminated food continued until 2022. Undercover shoppers in 2024 also found grocery items still on shelves, and the same warehouse fiasco triggered an FDA recall for 404 stores due to possible salmonella contamination. On top of that, Family Dollar signed a corporate-wide OSHA settlement for fire hazards and unsafe store conditions. And when it comes to bread, much of it comes from deep discount suppliers using expired flour, banned bromated flour, and hidden trans fats. Customers report moldy loaves before expiration, soggy slices, and bread sitting in broken AC aisles. For seniors and immune-compromised shoppers, those mold spores aren't just gross, they're dangerous. Rats and expired flour are shocking enough, but what if even modern, trusted stores like Target are cutting corners? Target feels sleek, modern, safe. Their Good and Gather bread looks healthy, organic, and trustworthy. But looks can deceive, right? Consumer Checkbook found that Target's 100% whole wheat bread often contains mostly refined bleached flour, not true whole grain. That bleaching process uses chlorine gas, which can create byproducts like allergens, shown in animal studies to damage insulin-producing cells. For anyone managing diabetes, that's a nightmare. Then comes the sugar. Target's honey wheat loaf has over 5 grams per slice, more than some donuts, hidden behind words like cane syrup and molasses extract. Even the organic loaves haven't been safe. In late 2023, Target had to quietly pull several Good and Gather breads after internal tests revealed contamination from excess emulsifiers. Studies show these additives disrupt gut flora, especially in older adults, leading to bloating, fatigue, and digestive problems. Does Target's bread really gather good, or just gather chemicals under a pretty label? But wait, let's talk about the one chain that's supposed to represent quality, but hides some of the worst shortcuts of all. Panera sells itself as clean food, the upscale cafe alternative where you can sip coffee and feel good about your sandwich. But the bread behind the branding isn't as clean as you think. In 2024, tests on their whole grain bread revealed alarming glyphosate levels, the controversies-ridden weed killer tied to cancer lawsuits. While technically within U.S. limits, these levels were far higher than Europe's safety thresholds. Their popular Asiago cheese loaf was found to contain sodium stearoyl lactolite and animal-derived enzymes despite being marketed as clean. A leaked 2023 memo revealed that franchise bakers admitted to rebaking day-old loaves and reselling them as fresh. Customers have reported mold under cheese toppings, odd sour smells, and shorter shelf life than advertised. The highest glyphosate levels, recorded 439.11 ppb, came from Panera Bread samples, the worst among 21 fast food brands tested. The same contaminant trend appeared in their whole grain offerings, the very items often perceived as healthier. Panera quietly closed its last fresh dough production facilities and is shifting to par-bake system. Bread is now partially baked off-site and then frozen, then finished in stores. This model boosts efficiency but drastically changes the freshly baked today brand promise. Now, if you think the worst offenders are fast food chains cutting corners, think again, because even your cozy supermarket artesian loaf isn't safe. Lewis Bake Shop markets itself as artesian and wholesome, the kind of bread you grab when you want better than basic. But behind the rustic label, the risks are anything but small. In July of 2025, Hartford Bakery had to recall nearly 900 loaves of its artesian-style half-loaf bread under the Lewis Bake Shop label. Why? Because it secretly contained hazelnuts, a hidden allergen that could send someone with nut allergies straight to the ER. The label only said may contain tree nuts but didn't spell out hazelnut. For allergy sufferers, that's not a typo, that is a life or death risk. The recall stretched across 12 states, hitting shelves at Kroger and other chains. Some customers reported stomach issues before the recall, and others literally found nuts inside of slices. Some nuts were even rotten and bitter. Imagine biting into classic artesian toast only to realize that it doubles as an allergy grenade. Bread is supposed to be safe, but even the fancy half loaf sitting in a plastic bag at your local store can be just as dangerous as the dollar bread with rats in the warehouse. So will you still grab that loaf without thinking, or will you start checking the label first? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more food industry secrets.